Well, good day. So, for today's video, we're gonna talk about the first cartoon appearance of that wild and wacky magician, Mr. Mxy. So, alright, let's go.
Alright, so we start off at the new amusement park just outside of Metropolis, where we find Jimmy Olsen taking some snazzy photos for the Daily Planet. Ha! Must be a slow news day, but the news is picking up! All of the rides are suddenly going haywire! They are in some bizarre condition! Up is down, left is right! Insanity! It could just be some mechanical malfunctions, or the rides could be possessed! Which is kind of what Jimmy is leaning more towards when he calls his buddy Clark Kent in a total panic. Suddenly, the planes start to fly off of the spinning plane ride. Holy crap! There's kids in those plane thingies! Oh my god, the lawsuits, like I can't even imagine. But hang on a second, these planes are actually flying. The kids inside are safe. And these kids are pretty calm too. Like, my god, if this happened to me, my pants would be turning a specific shade of brown. But not these kids. Luckily, Superman shows up to ground these airplanes and keep these kids safe on terra firma. But how could something like this happen? Like, it makes no sense. Well, turns out there's this really funny looking dude who was playing a magical joke. And I'm not talking magic, like pick a card, or something like that. I'm talking real magic. Because this guy is unhinged. He's making other things in the park fly as well. Like the cars in a roller coaster. Again, people should be freaking out with seeing that. Heck, being in the cars flying off of the roller coaster, like, my god, that's nightmare fuel right there. Also, the swans at the carousel come to life and they fly off as well. But still, there is no panic in the general population. I guess with all the things that happen in Metropolis, people fighting Superman, yeah, this is kind of child's play, I guess, so they're kind of used to it. Eventually, Superman notices this small practical joker and confronts him. What are you doing, man? You're being a jerk. But this little guy is all like, hey man, I'm not hurting anybody and I didn't intend to hurt anyone. I'm just having some fun. Which, I guess he's not wrong, but still kind of a jerk thing, right? We learn that his name is Mr. Mxyzptlk and he lives in the 5th dimension. And he indeed wields the power of magic. Also, he tells Superman that the only way he can go back to the 5th dimension is if he says his name backwards. And why would you tell Superman that? You're basically telling Superman your biggest weakness. Holy crap, man, like what the hell is wrong with you? You don't hear Superman going around and telling people, hey, if you guys had kryptonite, you could stop me whenever you want. Also, here's some kryptonite so you can go on a crime spree. That doesn't happen! But apparently it does with this Mxyzptlk idiot. So now that his weakness is exposed, Superman is working on ways to trick Mxyzptlk. Or as he calls him, Mixed Pickle. Oh, Soup, man, you're so awesome. Holy jeez, eh? So he tries a couple of different ingenious ways of trying to get Mr. Mxyzptlk to say his name backwards, kicks piddle him, but at least for the most part, Mixie kinda sees through the gag and doesn't let Superman win. Until Superman played a game with Mixie. He spelled his name backwards in the sky with some fireworks smoke, but he purposefully misspelt it. To which Mr. Mxyzptlk had to correct him. No, this is the way it's actually pronounced backwards. Boop. And the dude is gone. Although he'll only be gone for 90 days until his return, but it will be 90 days of more peace and quiet. So the day is saved! Hooray! And with that is the end of this era, Mixie Tale!
Hey, like, not too bad. I gotta say, I do like Mr. Mxyzptlk, or however the hell you pronounce it. Right, like he is a pretty interesting foe. Especially considering back in the day, Superman was so heavily overpowered, there really wasn't much that he couldn't do. So if he can't do anything against magic and you bring in this magical character, it's like, alright, there's actually some conflict. Because you can't just punch magic in the face and win, right? Like, you have to work around it. So it makes for some brain teasing and some comedic stories, which, always good. And even though Mxyzptlk did tell Superman his weakness, saying his name backwards is pretty ridiculous in real life. But, in the cartoon and comic book world, you have to tell the audience, what's going on. Like, I guess it does make sense, but it just seems a little too silly. But, how else are you going to get the information out, right? So it is what it is, you just have to outsmart the guy. The guy who was basically a super villain version of Rumpelstiltskin. So I guess him giving you the rules is, him just playing another game. Like, can you actually outsmart him? And the answer is, yes. Kind of easily. But that's the thing I really like about this character, right? Every single time he does come back from the 5th dimension, he's that much more difficult to trick. The stakes rise every time he returns. So still, this was his introduction into the cartoon world. We only learned so much about him, because we only had so much time. But the more we see him, the more dangerous he gets. So for a first run, pretty good. So like I say, I do like the character, I do like this little episode, and if you haven't seen it, I suggest you do. But with all of those things going on, we do have some more behind the scenes kind of things about Mr. Mxyzptlk and all that kind of stuff going on over here.
Okay, so yeah, Mr. Mxyzptlk, a crazy, crazy guy, but we love him anyway. Let us take a quick look at how this character came to be. So, Mr. Mxyzptlk first appeared in Superman number 30 in 1944. And with that, I am so sorry that I completely lied to you just then. That was not actually his first appearance. It was supposed to be, but for some silly zany reason, there were many delays in getting that comic issue published. So in 1944, while Superman was in the comic books, he was also in the daily comic strips of the local newspapers. So with the delay in that comic book being published, Mr. Mxyzptlk actually made his first print debut in the newspapers, in the funnies. So his first appearance was actually March 1st of 1944 in many, many newspapers. Which is kind of fitting for such an odd and magical character like Mr. Mxyzptlk. He likes to wreak havoc and play pranks, so for it to basically happen in real life during his debut, you know what, it totally checks out. But now that he has appeared, we learn that he is not from this planet. Heck, he's not even from this dimension. He is a magical imp from the 5th dimension, and his species is known as Zerfian? I think I'm pronouncing that right. Pretty comical looking guy, right? He's wearing a nice suit, the Boulder hat, he's totally bald, and just a total prankster. Out for some good fun? Well, his version of good fun. So he's pretty good for conflict with Superman and for some comic relief. The only way to defeat him is to send him back to the 5th dimension. As we learn in the episode, if you get him to say his name backwards, blip, he's out of here. Also, if you relentlessly ridicule him, he'll just get pissed off and leave. But ridiculing a magical being doesn't really sound like a good idea, so the name game is probably the safest way to go. Once he goes back to the 5th dimension, he cannot return to our dimension for at least 90 days. 3 months. So his Golden Age appearance is quite the difference to what we see in this featured episode. Which makes sense because this episode is showing his Silver Age appearance, which first happened in Superman 131 in 1959. So instead of having that really nice suit with the Boulder hat and no hair, DC Comics figured, yeah, we should make this character look, a bit more yowza wowza. Especially in the 50s, the space age and all that kind of stuff. So, let's give him some more futuristic looking clothes. Well, at least, futuristic clothes of what they may have conceptually looked like, from the point of view of the 1950s, which is an art style that I totally love. Oh! Nonetheless, he's got new clothes, kind of the same hat, and he's actually got hair now. So seeing as that is the Mr. Mxyzptlk that is current in the comic books at the time of this series, well, that's what he's gonna look like. Although I do gotta say, I actually kind of prefer that original look of his. Sure, he may look kind of corny and whatnot, but just a good look, and like you don't actually have to look menacing to be menacing. We would eventually see his golden age look in the Superman, the animated series, which I gotta say, I really do love that episode. That's my favorite version of Mr. Mxyzptlk, but still, to kind of go back and see him in his original cartoon debut, fantastic. Fantastic indeed! So we will see more of Mr. Mxyzptlk down the road, in cartoons, in live action, but more sparsely, but still, we still do get to see him. So we will talk about those when we get to those. But for everything else, with this, that, those, and the other things, I guess that's that. Also, if you're interested, I created my own comic book channel, 215 Comics. And currently, I have created my own cartoon series, The Adventures of the Density. And recently started a radio series featuring my newest character, Elastoma, with more titles to come. So if you want to check it out, I'll leave a link up top here to that channel and some links at the end of the video. Yeah! Right on, and there you go. So thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it as much as I did making it. Also, feel free to check out the source material that I featured in this video. And if you want to leave a comment on anything you may have liked or things I might have missed in this, feel free to do so. Or anything else, just to say hi. That's cool too. And other than that, have a great day. Thanks.